the first main thing that I want to talk about are all my takeaways from the 49ers in week 3. So the Niners took on the Los Angeles Rams last week, ended up losing. Yeah, they ended up losing 27-24. They pretty much had the game in the bag the whole time and then choked it, which is kind of what the Niners tend to do. So you're going to hear a lot of Niner fans making the excuse of how we were essentially on our B team because we had no George Kittle, we had no Deebo Samuel, we had no Christian McCaffrey, and we ended up losing. The Rams didn't have Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, so they were on their B stringers when it comes to wide receivers as well, and I think they had a couple of injuries in their secondary as well. So it was a pretty much just two teams with star power who were lacking some of that star power. But the Niners have all pros everywhere. So when you have 7 or 8 all pros, oh no, now you only have 4. It's like, I mean, we still had Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. I think Hufanga made an all pro. He was finally back after injury. Brandon Ayuk was there too. Brock Purdy was still there. The Niners had their guys and they just lost and they just took an L. And I'm here to give you my takeaways from the game. So first off, it was an ugly game towards the end. For the most part, in the beginning, it was fine. The Niners were actually kind of running the show. But no, it got ugly. First takeaway, Ronnie Bell should be cut. Yes, that is entirely true. Ronnie Bell should not be on the team anymore because of how terrible his hands are. One thing that, listen, I've never played professional football. I didn't even play high school football. I've only played like flag football. And I'm dang good at it though. But I have amazing hands. Like I can catch pretty much anything. I don't need gloves. I can just catch it. You can ask the people that know me, that play football with me. They know that's just one thing I do so well. I get crushed out there on a football field, but I can catch it. I am highly confident that I have better hands than Ronnie Bell. That guy needs to go. He drops every time he's in the game. He drops the ball. I don't even know why he's seeing the field. Granted, no Deebo Samuel, no George Kittle, so I kind of understand maybe relying on him just a tiny, tiny bit. Even though I like some of our rookies better, but that's just a whole conversation that I can get into. Ronnie Bell needs to go. He can't catch the football. And then Brock Purdy completely dimed him up on that last drive in the end of the game. A perfect throw, and it hit him right smack in the hands and fell to the ground. Dropped it. He ended up, that was just bad. I mean, it was just terrible. And that's not the first time we've seen it. He had 2 other drops in that game alone. He's just not a good wide receiver. He can't catch. Maybe he should be a defensive back. I don't know. But he should not be a wide receiver because he can't catch the football, or he just needs to get cut and then go work on it. He should be off the team. Will he? I don't know. The Niners don't often hold guys accountable, but he should be off the team because Ronnie Bell was a big reason that final drive didn't have any success. Granted, should it have come down to that? Absolutely not. I'm not solely blaming this game on Ronnie Bell, but I just thought of another takeaway. But no, there needs to be some what's the word that I just said? Some accountability. There has to be. The next thing, I don't know if Brandon Ayuk was worth the money. Listen, when Brandon Ayuk was paid this offseason, I was on the train right away. I was like, you know what? I'm not against giving Brandon Ayuk the money because he honestly, in my opinion, was like a top 10 wide receiver when it came to just skill set. When it came to the pure skill set of a wide receiver, I thought Brandon Ayuk was like top 10, 12-ish, right? I mean, but he's better than Deebo Samuel when it comes to being a wide receiver. But he looks bad. Is this a product of him missing the entirety of training camp? Likely. But I have a hard time believing if you were to throw Justin Jefferson out of training camp and then put him in by week 3, he'd still be terrible. I don't believe it. I think he'd be thriving by week 3. I think guys like Devontae Adams would be thriving. Guys like AJ Brown, these guys who are deserving of this big time money, It's not gonna take him 3 weeks. I mean, he's losing his job to Juwan Jennings right now, and it's ugly. There was no Deebo Samuel or George Kittle. Brandon Ayuk was poised for a huge game, and he had what, 5 catches for 43 yards? Granted, he had like 10 targets. I think he had like 10 targets out of Brock Purdy's 30, but he should have more catches, and he drops the ball. He also drops the ball. He's literally had so many plays where he has just bounced off his hands. That's why you don't miss training camp. Was Brandon Ayuk worth the money? I don't know. Another takeaway is Juwan Jennings just straight up better. I mean, obviously, Juwan Jennings has been better this year, and a lot of that coming from yesterday, but he's doing things that Brandon Ayuk is just so not doing. Like, Juwan Jennings was going up and making some ridiculous catches on Sunday, and Brandon Ayuk is sitting here just completely, sorry to adjust the mic, is just not making plays like that. But Juwan Jennings is leaping up, catching balls over guys, like doing fantastic stuff, and Brandon Ayuk just isn't. Is Juwan Jennings like is making a flippin' fraction of what Ayuk is making? Is he better? I'm gonna be patient with Brandon Ayuk because I liked him a lot before this whole contract situation happened. But it's not looking good right now. I mean, he looks bad. He literally looks like a bad wide receiver. So call it what you want, but Juwan Jennings right now might be the wide receiver one moving forward as Brandon Ayuk, or as Deebo Samuel's injured and Ayuk is still sucking. Next, if you didn't know this by now, I don't know where you've been, but another takeaway, Brock Purdy is good. I mean, Brock Purdy is a legitimate starting quarterback. Is he on the level of Josh Allen? No, but this guy's good. If you haven't realized it by now, you should probably figure out what you're actually watching, because Brock Purdy is a good quarterback in this league. And not that I'd say I'm skeptical. I was skeptical to pay him big money, but it was like, okay, he does have a lot of all pros around him, and I recognize that, but I also recognize the things that Brock Purdy can do outside of that. And coming into this game, it was like, you know what? Deebo Samuel, no George Kittle, no Christian McCaffrey. Like, Brock's gonna have to do a lot of this work on his own. Let's see if he's really gonna be worth that big time contract we're gonna inevitably pay him in a year from now. And I mean, he showed out. Brock Purdy was like one of the only bright spots in this game for the 49ers. He looked amazing. He was making the throws. He was calling off Shanahan sometimes. Like, Brock Purdy can thrive when it's not just, I got to listen to what Kyle says and I got to stand in the pocket and make the right read. It's like, Brock, you can roll out. You can figure some things out on your own because you're a playmaker. And he does that. And when he does that, he thrives even more. Purdy's legit. If you didn't know by now, I don't know what you've been watching, but that's just a slight takeaway. I took that away last season, but just another one from this game. Without the all pros, Brock is still delivering big time. Another takeaway is the secondary and the pass rush both suck. This is now coming after Javon Hargrave. I was just reading something about Hassan Reddick. Javon Hargrave is out now for the year after tearing his tricep. So granted, Javon Hargrave has been slightly underwhelming since coming here, especially this season so far. But I feel like, because there were a lot of videos going around of Javon Hargrave yesterday or last game on Sunday, kind of like lollygagging during plays, like showing no intensity and just kind of like playing loose and not really caring, which was gross, number one. But now it kind of makes sense. I mean, he was probably dealing with this. I would definitely imagine he was dealing with this during the game. And I think that was a big part of potentially why he hasn't been performing well, or at least last game. So now there's no Javon Hargrave, and this pass rush is just not getting any pressure on the quarterback. I mean, they need somebody else besides Bosa, because Bosa gets held, and we know this, and Bosa gets doubled. We need another effective pass rusher on the opposite side of Bosa to be able to get to the quarterback and apply that pressure. But this pass rush isn't doing that. They're just not. They're barely applying pressure. Our secondary's been weak for years, and it's not great. And actually, it's pretty bad so far this season. I mean, they were getting beat. Our DBs are getting beat. Jair Brown, I mean, some of these guys are just getting beat when you really don't expect them to. And it's been ugly. And especially if you don't have a pass rush and you're giving the quarterback more time to throw the ball, it gives the wide receivers more time to beat the DBs. And that's what's happening. The 49ers defense is not good right now. It's the only there's really one bright spot so far in this 49ers defense this season so far, and that's Fred Warner. Nick Bosa is obviously doing his thing. He's just always getting double teamed. So he's doing something for the line. I know that. But Fred Warner's been the single most effective player on arguably the 49ers entire team this year. He's been insane, and he's the only bright spot on this defense right now from what we've seen so far. So this defense needs some work. I don't know if they're gonna go make a move or what. They need to figure something out though, because they're not applying pressure and the DBs are not staying with the wide receivers enough, and it's gotten ugly a couple of times. Um, Another takeaway will be that Jake Moody still has the yips. It's a 55-yard field goal and he barely missed it. Yeah, I know, but I don't trust this guy when it comes to the big kick. Um, he's gonna have to make one day in the playoffs or something. He missed one in the Super Bowl. He missed one in the Super Bowl, and he shanked a clutch field goal here. How good of a kicker are you if you're not making the clutch field goals? I don't. I'm not a big Jake Moody guy. I think he's got the yips all the time. Something about him just gives me the yip vibe, even if he makes them, because he's. I think if I'm not mistaken, he made every field goal before this game so far, and he had the one. I think it was week 1 where he hit 6 of them. But no, dude, when it comes to Jake Moody, he has the yips. And if he needs to hit a field goal in the crunch time, I'm not trusting it. I'm just not. That's kind of where I'm at with Jake Moody. Um, Way to waste a 3rd-round pick on a kicker who's got the yips all the time, Kyle. Should have just paid Robbie Gold. But no, they're not. They're going to take a 3rd-round pick on a rookie kicker because he can kick it far. Okay, well, you still got to make it through the uprights. This is just general, but the Niners have work to do. This is not a contending team from what it looks like right now. Yes, they're injured, and I get that. There's no McCaffrey, who's arguably one of the more valuable players on the entire roster. Deebo Samuel's not there. George Kittle wasn't there, but they have work to do because you're not going to get by with this defense, and you're not going to get by if Brandon Ayuk still sucks like this. And you're not going to get by if Kyle Shanahan doesn't know to really call a game and continues to get outcoached. This team has work to do if they want to contend for a Super Bowl again. And right now, they just have to figure it out. They got to get healthy, and they got to figure it out as well. It's there's a lot going on here for the Niners, but positivity isn't something that is going on. So there's that. And then my final takeaway from this 49ers week 3 game is just another reminder that the 49ers should have won the Super Bowl last year. They should have won it last year. They're never going to have an opportunity as golden as it was last year. They were relatively healthy outside of Talanoa Hufanga, who got injured during the season, and then Dre Greenlaw, who got hurt right in the Super Bowl, which was just obviously we know how devastating that was and how random it was. Every team's always going to have a guy here and there get hurt. That was the healthiest the Niners have been. That was the best team the 49ers had. Their quarterback's still making $900,000. And they blew it. Kyle Shanahan blew it, actually. So he does what he does best. He did what he does best, which is choke leads and choke big games away. The 49ers should have won it last season. That was the year to do it. They're never going to have an opportunity like that again. If they come up against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid in the Super Bowl again, they're just going to lose. That's the 49ers kryptonite. I honestly have no confidence in the team. If they end up making the Super Bowl and it's not Kansas City and we end up going against the Texans and CJ Stroud, or the Bengals look bad. I don't even want to say them. Buffalo looks really good. I'd still be nervous. I'd have a little more confidence though. But I just nothing. It wasn't never gonna get as easy it was last year. Not that it's easy, but it was never. That was the best path they had to a championship the entire time. The team was absolutely star studded, and it still is. But we were healthy last year, and right now we're just not healthy. And that's the game of football. You're gonna have times when you're just not healthy because it's such a brutal game. So last year we should have took full advantage, and we didn't because Kyle Shanahan decided to choke it again, abandon the run game in the third quarter, didn't really give the ball to McCaffrey. That's a whole other thing. I have a full episode on what went wrong for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And it's about 30 minutes of me ranting about Kyle Shanahan. I don't really have confidence that Kyle Shanahan will ever win a Super Bowl with the 49ers. I just think that he has too big of an ego. I think that his play calling comes back to bite us. I think he just gets stupid and gets conservative in the Super Bowl. And he's a good coach because he can get you there, but he'll never win it. So the 49ers should have won it last year.